on violence against women and girls with disabilities are largely lacking, making it difficult to assess the prevalence of this violence, its forms, levels, and determinants, such as what types of disability are most subjected to violence, who are the perpetrators, and in which geographic locations, among others. Nevertheless, the different stakeholders agree that violence against women with disability is more prevalent compared to violence against males and females without disabilities. Women and girls with disabilities experience many difficulties and inequality in both private and public institutions, with no access to adequate health care, education, and employment. They experience double discrimination, maltreatment, exploitation, sexual abuse, neglect, and others. During the pandemic, a rate or number of cases of violence and sexual abuse against women and girls with disabilities increased. And these are cases that were reported. Imagine the number of underreported cases and how these women and girls suffer in silence because they do not have the right information. Women with disabilities face multiple dimensional and multifaceted barriers and challenges in accessing their sexual reproductive health rights services. And these challenges are categorized as follows: state or national barriers, institutional or healthcare system barriers, individual level barriers, community level barriers, and economic barriers. We need to map out functional strategies for safeguarding the sexual reproductive health rights for women and girls with disabilities. This is very essential in protecting the rights of women and girls with disabilities in the society, and this cannot be overemphasized. We also need data. We need to collect data on victims and survivors of sexual reproductive health rights that concerns women and girls with disabilities. We need female desk officers in Federal Ministry of Health and Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and our security agencies. We need to see organizations of women with disabilities being supported with funding and other employment opportunities. Our communications methods should be accessible and in an inclusive format.
For the opportunity to speak on my personal experience as it concerns violence against women. The violence that happened to me was in my marriage. I was battered in the marriage, and at the end, the matter was taken to court. I want to talk about the development of courts. That is added to the violence against women. At the courts, there was no sign language interpreter. I had to apply to NAPTIP to provide me with a sign language interpreter when I could not afford payments for sign language interpreter. NAPTIP provided me with an interpreter, but most times the interpreter would always be asking me to pay. It was no longer free. After the government organization has provided me with the interpreter, so this got to a time I could no longer handle it, and the case was always adjourned. This is that adjournment. I don't know how to handle it. At the time, I had to abandon the case in the court. When I had requested the court to provide me with an interpreter as I could no longer afford the payment. But the court told me that they have no such facility for deaf people. Also, I reminded them that the law stated that when somebody could not understand the English language, that it is the court duty to provide the person with an interpreter. They told me that had to do with languages like Hausa, Igbo, and others. I thought, why not apply it to sign language for people, for deaf people? Because we are all human beings, and this was supposed to be for all of us. They said no, that they could not provide me with sign language.
This challenge of interpreter is still a big headache at the hospital. Not only at the antenatal, even when we carry our babies for immunization, they will tell you a lot of things of how to take care of your babies, but no one interpreter present there. All the information that comes, you don't get it. I still remember one day I carried my baby for immunization. After they gave the immunization, the baby was feeling so hot. I was afraid because only me was in my house. So I managed through that night until the following day. When I went out, I met one woman. I was explaining to her my experience through the night. She said that I didn't hear what they used to tell them there. That if after the immunization, 1 hour later, you should give them paracetamol so that it will calm down the effect of the injection. But I never got that information. This is my second baby. From the first baby to this one, I've never heard of that before. Because we never had interpreter.
Nigerian Men Trust Fund. Nigerian Men Trust Fund have been working with women to push or to advocate for policies. Not only to advocate for policies, to make sure that those policies are being implemented. Like the VAP Act, we've been trying all our possible best to make sure that the states that have not implemented the VAP Act should do so. We've been working with the VAP coordinator, Ms. Enede. We've been working with FIDA and other organizations or other agencies to make sure that the VAP Act is being implemented in all states. And also, we know about the Sexual Offenders Register. So we should make sure that we create more awareness at the local level to inform people that we have the Sexual Offenders Register where sexual offenders can, their names will be put or be published to the public. You know, in doing that, we will reduce or minimize the rate of violence against women and girls with disability. And also, this year we mentored in Nigerian Men Trust Fund. We mentored over 200 women on how to end violence against women and girls. And also, I believe if as a civil society organization, if we could join hand and create more awareness, most especially at the local level, we will achieve a great achievement. We'll have a great achievement at the end of the day. So because people at the local level are ignorant of this, they are not aware of this. So we need to make them understand that these are the things, these are what to do when their rights are being violated, especially people with disabilities. So we need to carry them along in all we do. Also, as I said, we push or we advocate for policies. We've been working with women in elective appointed positions to make sure that policies that favors women is being implemented, just like the national gender policy and the a section in the constitution that says non-discrimination. So we want the federal government to interpret that because we see that women, when they contest or when they contest for an elective position, they are not given that mandate or that right, or they are not given the chance to also prove that yes, they can do it. Because we all believe that as women or women with disability, we can do more and we will achieve more. So as I said earlier, in 2023, what are we planning? We need to start planning from now. We need to see more women in elective and appointed positions to be able to push policies that we end violence against women and girls with disabilities. Because in doing that, we'll be able to achieve a great length in ending all this, because the men cannot do this for us. As women, we need to stand up and get and speak for ourselves, let our voice be heard. And in doing so, as I said, we need to vote women into power. So in conclusion, I would say, as women, we have a right. We should always we should always stand up for our rights and make sure that all we are doing is to end violence against women and girls. Thank you.
Is okay. It aims at eliminating violence against persons with disability in society, and this is what we are clamoring for. At every level, we know the escalation of the number of violence against persons generally, and that of persons with disability is not left alone. Now, this program aims at now having the government, having all stakeholders on board in order to be wary of their responsibilities in eliminating violence, especially here against persons with. Buhari Area Council has been doing a lot in terms of awareness creation. We are local people and we always have to speak the language of the local people. Now, this information is more needed in the communities, in the local areas. In the communities is where this violence occurs. Sometimes I tell people when I come to programs like this that we come here, stay in big hotels and then do programs, spend a lot. The community there is defied of this information. That is where the information is needed. The person that is not informed is deformed. And this information needs to get to the local people, needs to get to the interior communities, so that together we can all eliminate violence against persons.